Yeah, so if I wasn't watching my dad or grandfather, because they were the cooks of the family,
Okay.
um, I was watching Food Network and I was looking at TV saying like I want to be on the Food Network. I want to be the next Bobby Flay or Emeril Lagasse at the
Right.
time. Um, and it was a blessing to be able to be given that opportunity. And what happened from that was it kind of just really grew this demand for my partner and I, the guy who I was on the show with. So we started a catering business, and we started working doing those type of events. And I realized quickly that working for myself, being a chef for myself, was far more lucrative than being a chef in a restaurant. Um, and being able to, the scalability of the business was far more than what can be done in a restaurant. We pursued our desire of wanting to own a restaurant. We did that. After a year and a half, we shut it down. And that's when I found my avenue and my vein in being a personal chef and culinary instructor. And I believe that's where things really begin to change for me, because I was now working in purpose versus just working in passion. And I haven't looked back since.
Nice, nice, man. That's good. So, it sounds like definitely, I think for what I just got from you, what you said in the beginning is, you started off in a high quality, upscale restaurant where I know a lot of chefs or just people's stories in general of how they got to where they had to here and work my way up and things like that. So talk about, how were you able to, start off in such a great opportunity like that? Was it networking? Was it, luck, favor? How did you kind of start off in such a great environment?
Great question. I will say that favor is always a determining factor for a lot of the things that um, I've been granted opportunities for. As
Yeah.
I'm a believer, and I really do know that God's favor is just on my life. But this opportunity came by chance, really. I was in culinary school, and I decided that I wasn't going to go to class. You know what I'm saying? I skipped class for the day, and I was just walking around the campus,
Hmm.
and the career specialist ended up running into me and this other guy, and he was like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And he was
Yeah.
like, "Look, if y'all not gonna go to class, at least go to a job interview. I got this company. They're coming to Miami. They're coming to Miami, opening up a new restaurant, and they're looking for cooks." And I was like, "Okay." I never heard of the company, never knew anything. He said, "Yeah, I could set up interviews for you guys, for you knuckleheads, uh, you know, today." And he gave us the information, and he set the appointment, and we had an interview at 3 o'clock. I remember the time. And I remember on my way to the interview, I needed to, or before the interview, I needed to come up with a resume. Now, at this time, I didn't have any experience, any work experience. So I said, well, I can't come up with a resume based on work experience, but I can come up with a resume based on skill set.
Yeah.
And I decided to come up to put, to, do comprise a resume based on the skills that I've acquired and the skills that I know that are my strengths. And that's what I went with. And on the way to the interview, I'm like studying different things that I figured they would ask, like what kind of sauces and this, that, and the third, all type of stuff. And then I go there, and it's this beautiful place, huge place. And I'm like, whoa, this is far more than what I imagined it to be. But when I sat down with the interview, I just told them candidly, like, listen, I don't have any work experience, but I have
Hmm.
a willingness to learn. I'm coachable, and I will work harder than everybody here. I literally told them that. And I said, if you teach me something, I'll learn it fast, and then I'll be able to teach others. And the two chefs, I'll never forget, they looked at each other, and he said, interview's over. I was like, what? Like, at this time, I'm thinking like interview's over, like go home. But it was like, no, we need this kind of mindset. So, they said we need to go to the second part of the interview, which was like a physical test of measuring out stuff and asking different questions. I was nervous, but I got it done. And at that time, they didn't even hire people of my age. I was 18 years old at the time. And I ended up being the youngest person they ever hired in their company. So that's kind
Wow.
of how that happened. It was a job that I wasn't really qualified for, but because of the favor and just knowing that I couldn't come in how anyone else could because they have experience. I had to come in with what I had, which is just a willingness to learn and be able to grow with the business. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think that's, man, that's, first of all, that's an amazing story. And I think it's just an example of, like, really just being in the right place at the right time. But more importantly, taking advantage of it, because you could have won an interview and you could have bombed it.
Right.
But you know, it set you up for success. So, you said after that, you became an executive chef at 22.
Yes, sir. And I
Okay.
give a lot of credit to True Lux because I learned so much. I had a phenomenal chef. His name was Samir. His name is Samir Cannon, and he was one of those. People think that Gordon Ramsay is like a caricature. That's really how it is in the kitchen. I mean, you got chefs that'll throw pots and cuss and fuss,
Man,
and that's really
hey,
real.
I'm laughing, bro, because so look, just a real quick story. I went to a career high school for a year, Emma Washington's career high school in DC, and
Hmm.
it was just different careers. So culinary was a focus. So cooking was one of my morning classes, and we had a teacher. We called him Chef. Man, I mean, Chef had a temper like no other. He would always go off. He would go off. He would like, get out of my kitchen. And when you start watching the shows, I would tell people, like, I think all chefs may be like that. But at first, as a kid in high school, I'm just thinking, man, chef is crazy. But even friends that I have in culinary, and even you just telling that story, I now know that that's just part of how they
That's
act.
listen, that is how it is. And man, listen, when I got there, I was always intimidated because I was the youngest. I was literally the baby.
Yeah,
And they knew I didn't have the experience, but they treated me as if I did. And I didn't understand it fully in the beginning. I'm like, why are y'all so hard on me? Like, cut me some slack. But they never
yeah,
did, and I'm glad they never did because it accelerated my growth and development. And I grew up in that company pretty quickly. I ended up doing exactly what I said I would do. They taught me everything. I learned every station, and I ended up being like a lead line cook, which I then became a trainer. Then I became a sous chef and an expediter, and learning the front of the house. And I excelled with this company. And the only reason I left was because I was given an opportunity to be an executive chef, which was a dream of mine. But I felt because of what I learned from Trulux that I had enough knowledge to do it and replicate that system in another restaurant. And it was fun.
yeah,
It was fun. It was really, really cool. Um, because of the way I was traumatized in the kitchen, I told myself I will never be that kind of chef. Like I'll never be a Gordon Ramsay or
yeah.
a Samir at the time. But they're in the kitchen, like it's very militaristic. So
Right,
you don't have time to play. Like when I say I need it now, I need it now. When I say this needs to be whatever the case may be, that's how it is. But I made sure that I didn't break people's character because a lot of times that can
right.
happen. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's how I feel, because I've seen it. Even I've been to a restaurant in Miami a couple of months ago, and I saw up close and personal. And I understand, it's important. You are dealing with feeding people, putting food into their bodies, making it right.
mhm.
But I think you don't have to be an a-hole to be passionate. That's one thing
Right.
I've always attached to my leadership. Is like, I don't have to yell and go off, and it's just like, oh, he's really into it. Like, no, you
Nah.
don't have to lead people that way, because honestly, like you said, everyone can't take that. Some people can take it and just take it on the chin, but you may lose, respect, or, lose employees just based off of your character or your behavior.
Absolutely. And I have to say I was too naive at the time and too young. Some people would say too dumb to realize that this was abuse. And
Yeah,
I would literally go home crying, or I would walk away and go into the walk-in and just cry, and then get myself together and come back out. I can appreciate it now, but at that time, um, it was a struggle. And one of the things that I'm so passionate about when it comes to this industry is really reshaping the culture, because this
yeah,
culture is tolerated, but that doesn't mean it should be so. Like
right.
there's no other place really that you can talk to people this way and not get HR cases left and right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, So, you know, I learned from that, and even though I can appreciate it, I really can, and it toughened me up. It toughened up my skin, which you need to have in the kitchen. Um, I said, if when I become a chef, I won't be this way. I'll be hard. I'll be, you know, I don't play that, but I won't tear you down.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And I think that's a good thing, man. Like I said, that's what even from, like I said, when Kenny and them hosted the event, from Kenny talking about your energy, when I saw the videos and stuff, like even your demeanor was just different. You know, most chefs is just straight to the business, cook. You know, even when I was trying to, I reached out about, planning something, like your energy and everything was just a warm spirit. Where like a lot of chefs, man, it's just like straight to the point. Like I know sometimes you reach out to a chef, hey, I'm trying to do do an event, and they're just, all right, don't serve that many people. Got to be less people. Got to be a certain amount of people. Like they just kind of straight to the
Man.
point.
Woo.
But your customer service, man, was like really on point. Because I remember I reached out to someone in Miami before, and I was trying to do something, and they're like, "Oh, it has to be 10 or more people," and it was just like it's like they had an attitude.
Listen, man, you gonna start something with that. I'll say this. What I realized growing up is that we all have value systems, right? And one of the things system is connection.
Yeah.
We have to realize the restaurant business is, before it is a food business, it is a relationship business. You are literally building relationship with people,
Mm-hmm.
because the very last step of the dining experience is tasting. That's the very
Yeah.
last thing you do, is actually eat. So what happens before that? You're introduced to a person. They come, they serve you, they introduce themselves, they build relationship, they build rapport. And that's what I focus on, because there's a million chefs. There's a million great chefs that can cook the same thing or even better things. But what I like to focus on is, like, human to human. People buy from people. They don't buy from products. They don't buy from brands. They don't buy from popularity. They buy from people. And if you could level with them on a human level and treat them like how they should be treated, then everything else will kind of take care of itself. And that's who I am. That's also that's a lot of stuff I picked up from the culture of Trulux. They have this thing where they say, if you take care of the people, you take care of the customers, and you take care of your associates, the business will take care of itself. That's my mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I believe in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It, and I'm glad you said that, bro, because it goes a long way. There's a spot in Margate, Shangalls, and I actually interviewed the chef there. I was that a couple of days ago. But long story short, they sell amazing Jamaican food. They sell smoothies, punches, all those different type of things. A nice, healthy spot.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond the food, me and the cook, we've built a relationship. So when I come in there, we're talking about Jamaica. I'm talking about my career, my life. Like she's giving me advice on relations, just all different types of stuff. So,
Right.
I'm glad to hear you say that the connection is key, because there have been some restaurants that, man, the food may be A1, but if I go there and have a bad experience, if it's either with a waiter, waitress, the owner, the host, whoever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come back. I'm
Right.
not going to come back. I'm going to spend my money somewhere else. And that goes into my next question. I think you kind of already answered it, but I think that is your competitive advantage, because I was going to ask you, as you mentioned, you're from Miami, you're working in Miami. Miami is a place where there are tons of chefs, tons of restaurants, all those different type of things. So what do you do beyond the connection piece to kind of keep your brand, setting your brand apart and having that competitive advantage against all the other restaurants in Miami?
Okay. Man, I really like your questions.
Hey, look, man. I work in HR, so I had some time in recruitment, so I know my questions probably come off like a lot, real deep.
No,
But
I
it's
love it.
that.
I love it. This is phenomenal, man. This is phenomenal. Kudos to you, man. Um, so I guess a couple focuses that I have is, um, I'm a personal chef. So before I'm a chef, I need to be personable, right? So I really focus on creating personal and personable interactions with the client. Like I do get a lot feedback from clients and potential clients that speak on, man, your customer service is A1. I love how thorough your communication is. I love how you talk. I love how you make me feel. I've had grown men say, man, you make me feel like a king. Like you make me feel like
Yeah.
and that's what it's about. So I focus on that. Um, and I focus on a very specific demographic. I know who I want to serve, and I know who I want to be while serving, and I make no apologies about it. So I target my demographic, my pool, my avatar, my client, those, and I don't focus on trying to get everybody. I just focus on getting my people.
Yeah,
And that is, that has been uh, a catalyst in my understanding of business, um, and the way that I function as a business owner, because I realize, and this thing helped me realize, that there's an audience for everybody. And if I can
absolutely.
build community with my audience, then I'll always have business.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, the food is, I don't focus on the food. I only focus on the food when I'm cooking.
yeah,
That's the only time. And I understand that because I do have a more refined look, a more refined taste, a more refined, um, uh, just kind of a setting. That's what I stick with. And people like that. People, they feel like they've gotten a real 5-star, quote unquote, fine dining experience. And that starts from the moment we communicate, to the moment I cook, to the moment I serve you, to the moment I clean up, and the moment even after, to say thank you for even your consideration for this business, and allowing me to serve you, because that's what it is. I am a glorified servant. Anybody in the hospitality world, a chef, a maitre d', a restaurant owner, manager, whatever, you're here to serve. And I never let that go outside of my peripheral. Like, I'm always thinking I'm here to serve. And I believe that is what sets me apart. And that's what extends, a little bit of my name before someone would choose someone else.
yeah, man, absolutely, bro. I think that's key because even myself, I'm in the process of. I mean, even I'm starting another business like in the skincare lane, but even with this podcast, people ask, hey, what's the goal or what's next or what do you want to do? And I'm like, hey, even if I have 20 listeners every week or every month, like that's fine with me. I just want to make sure I'm pleasing the people that are supporting. And I think, like you said, that's a longevity thing because you can have 500 supporters, thousands of supporters, but usually it's we have that many so quick, it's like a wave. So when that wave runs out, they may jump on to the next
Right.
wave. But when you have, those dedicated 100 followers or 200, whatever the case may be, they're going to stick with you, forever. I tell people it's like that with music artists. There's some music artists who will never be superstars, but they've realized that, okay, I'm going to please this fan base right here. And they probably, had like a 10-year career, but they're doing their thing and focus on who they got to please. So that's I think that's very important. Like I'm glad you said that, bro.
And it's you will make you listen. A lot of people, I tell people this when they get into business, like, when you focus on providing value to your community, one, finding your tribe, which is important, because we're all tribal people, right? We're all community driven. You find your
Yep.
tribe, you build your tribe, you give to your tribe. You can make crazy money, and you can have and accumulate crazy success from trying to serve 100 people effectively versus 100,000. It's crazy how that math works, but it's really true. And I learned something. I forget the guy who created it, but it's called 1,000 raving fans, right? And he
Yeah.
says, instead of trying to have like hundreds of thousands or millions of people that like your stuff, just try to focus on building a community of 1,000 and really, really blow their socks off. And just give, and you will always be in business. And it's starting to look for my life and my business to be true. And I think it works for, just like the example you gave about my artists who know, okay, I may not be this big mega star and whatever the case may be, but I'm important here. I have a value placement here, and they focus on that. And their careers are long. Their careers are long. The money is long. You know what I'm saying? It's really great opportunity in that.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, man. I think it's I think that's just so important because I think sometimes people are worried about, like we and it makes sense, don't get me wrong, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. But sometimes I think people get so focused on the, from the
Right.
Instagram to the million followers to the, amount of people that are supporting to the views and it's in the third, but it's really just about, like you said, pleasing that fan base. Because I think, are you familiar with Gary V?
He's somebody I listen to quite often.
Yeah, so I actually started watching him, when him and Nipsey did an interview together,
Mm-hmm.
and I watch a lot of his other content. But he says something where like, today, the society and the times that we're in, he's like, you have the power to just put things out there, create things, and you say, these things may not catch wind of someone to maybe a year or two later, but you already have it set there. So saying that for you is that, 4-6 months from now, you may get a call from a billionaire to say, hey, I want to invest in your company. But you've already, when you come to this billionaire, it's like, okay, you're going to help grow the brand. But how about this? I have 1,000, MVP supporters who following this brand, who's going to buy the food, et cetera, et cetera. So that's important, man.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna just take that as you spoke that in my life. So I'm expecting
Yeah,
a
hey,
billionaire
man, you
to
got to,
call
bro.
me in 4 to 6 months. And I'm gonna say my guy Ed, he called it, and we're gonna have to send you a nice little donation.
For sure, man. And another thing, I want to ask. So I've been looking at the page, looking at the food, man. It looks
Thank
amazing.
you.
And myself right now, I'm on this 75-day hard challenge with Kenny, one of my friends, Silas, Tony, and we're all like, doing this challenge where we, not eating certain foods, working out, and all those type of things. So, today is really popular with the vegan, the healthy eating, the clean eating, the plant-based. So how do you cater to that? Because I see you do have a wide variety of different meals, but at the end of the day, us as Black folks, we want some real soul food down to the bone. So, do you kind of have a balance between that traditional, food as well as a healthy food, or how do you kind of, play that into your business?
So
Hey man, I'm sorry, cause look, I'm looking at this mac and cheese right now on your page, bro. Oh my god.
it's funny. I may catch some flack from this. As a very, very proud Black man, I do not cook soul food.
Oh
I do
really?
not cook soul food. I mean, I do comfort food is, I do like Macs and stuff like that, but I don't really cook soul food like that. The genre
Yeah.
of soul food. But as far as the balance, when it comes to like very specific dietary things, I come across clients that be like, okay, I don't eat this, I don't, I'm this gluten free, blah blah blah. And you accommodate and you fulfill their requests. But when it's something that's like more targeted, more specific, then I just refer them to my brother, who is also a chef, but he focuses on like real healthy eating, and he does like meal prep. It's called Press Meals, and he's a personal chef for that specifically. So when they want that, and I'll just send them to my brother. Um,
Yeah.
but there is a balance, because I like food that I like to make food that looks good and feels good, and it's going to continue to make you feel good even after you eat it. Sometimes it can be indulgent, but I'm pretty mindful of what I'm putting in it. And most people, like I have menus, but people pick what they want to eat. And
Right.
sometimes when they're celebrating, maybe for that day they don't care about how many calories they're eating, or how much cheese and butter and this, that, and the third, and all the good foods we shouldn't be indulging in. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it kind of just works out based on whatever the client needs are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of stay in this vein of a balance between like comfort food, but also conscious food, of being conscious of health. I think it's a pretty solid balance between the two.
Yeah, no, because I was gonna say I see, I mean, you're from Miami, so of course, but I see the seafood option, which I'm a huge seafood
Yes,
fan.
sir.
A lot of seafood, there's protein and not as bad as maybe some of the fried foods. But okay, just wondering because I noticed that now. I mean, I remember one time, bro. This was probably maybe like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Man, I was dating this vegan, and I was like, man, we ain't gonna
Were
work
you?
out.
I was gonna say,
I'm
were you
like, look.
miserable?
Yeah, I'm like, look, we ain't gonna work out. Like, I mean, we going out. She's like, oh, I gotta go here, I gotta go there. Man, she would be looking at ingredients and stuff I mean. I'm like, look, and I'm a health conscious person that like to eat healthy,
Mm-hmm.
but going to that, nah. Sometimes, when I break, I'm gonna break. I'm gonna break it, and that's why I practice eating healthy. Because we was talking about this last night in my chat. I'm like, look, when I let go, I let go, man. That was me over Thanksgiving. I let go for Thanksgiving. Went to DC. Grandmother had banana pudding, all the
Oh
crazy
man,
stuff. Man, I got back to Broward. I was eating bad for the whole month of December, bro.
that is crazy. But I understand it, man. I
So,
understand. Man, I should have took up that challenge with y'all and KB. But I'm kind of doing the
Yeah.
same thing because you know, health is wealth, man. It always has been,
Yeah.
but such a need for it now. And I'm like, you know, you be working these jobs and they're typically anywhere between 8 to 12 hours. You standing, you cooking, you serving, you
Mm-hmm.
doing all this. I'm like, man, I need to take it easy on my knees. I can't be carrying all this weight.
Nah,
Yeah.
for sure, bro. And yeah, man, you know, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you too, you know, but beyond the you know, the dedicated supporters, the followers, and people that you serve in South Florida, I noticed in your bio you have celebrity chef. What would you say, you know, out of the different celebrities that you serve, what was the most memorable experience, if you're able to share who that person was?
Yes. Let's see here.
And if I'm not mistaken, I saw on your page, Art, you cooked for Ari Lennox before?
Ari Lennox? No,
Yeah.
no, no, not yet.
Oh, it's a lady on your page that looks just like
I
Ari,
know
bro.
exactly what you're talking about because
Yeah, like I thought that was Ari,
I've
bro.
had some questions about it before. Um, okay, so I mean it's weird, right? Because a lot of my high profile clients, like it's all like NDA stuff, and you can't even talk about it, which sucks because I've been wanting to show the world, like,
Yeah,
look who I just cooked for.
right. That's why I asked, like, if you're able to share.
Um, I believe my most memorable experience was, and he's not even, I mean, I guess he's a celebrity, but he's just he's a billionaire CEO. His name is Jack Abraham. And I
Okay,
just actually recently cooked for him, not too long ago,
nice.
and it was my first time being hired or contracted by a billionaire. He's the CEO and founder of Hims and a hedge fund called Atomic out in California. And I mean, he's in, you know, in shoulders with like Elon Musk and all these really cool tech guys, big guys, big
Big
dogs.
dog. That's
No,
he's a big dog. You
yeah,
ain't
he's
gotta
a
say
big
no
dog.
more. If he
He's a
was
big
Elon.
dog. He's a big dog. Um, and what was cool wasn't necessarily him per se, but it was just being introduced to another level of service, and it was memorable because it showed me, or at least I believe I took it as like a foreshadowing of the type of clients I want to attract, the type of clients I do attract, and how my service seamlessly falls with those kind of people. It was really different, you know what I mean? To pull up to a house and you got armed security all over the place, high tech cameras,
Oh wow.
you know, like probably, and I've I cook in a lot of mansions, a lot of huge homes, and it was probably the biggest home I've ever been in. Um, which was it was like in whatever. I don't think I could talk about the house, but it was like just huge, and that was
Yeah.
probably the most memorable just because of like all that it entailed. It was super like stressful, and people watching what I'm
Yeah.
putting in the kitchen, what I'm putting in the pots, and they need to inspect everything and all that stuff. I just like it was cool. It was stressful, but it was cool.
Oh man, that sounds like I'm thinking about when I went to see Farrakhan at a church in DC one time, and I'm coming in and they checking this man. They asked to check the chapstick.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
They said, yeah, man. They asked to check the chapstick. They said, yeah, man. You know, we had one time someone took some chapstick and tried to put some type of poison inside of it. I said, wow, but that sounds like a great experience, bro. And I guess, you know, after that, what was the reaction? Everyone
Man, he
liked the
loved it.
food.
But it was
That's good.
it was the weirdest reaction, right? Because um a lot of times you get people that talk and tell you how much they love the food, and then you just got people who they just eat everything. Like they clean their plates. And honestly, that's the best compliment you can give a chef. And he was doing dinner for him and some of his guests and some high profile person that came in, and he literally like annihilated his food and was starting to eat other people's
Yeah.
plates. And he was just like, "Yep, yeah, buddy, that was good."
Nah, that's solid, bro. That's what's up, man. And I know, you know, I always tell people, you know, one thing about just South Florida, Miami, and really anywhere, but really Miami. And that's one thing I was kind of upset when the pandemic happened is that it's the type of city where, man, you could just meet the right person and your life could be changed
Yes,
forever.
yes, like that.
Yeah, your life could be
Hmm.
changed forever, like because there's so much wealth down there. You know, I mean, you know me, like I'm in Pompano, so people think of Pompano, they just think of the bad side. But I tell them, like, you know, you go up the street, man, there's so many $1 million
Wait,
homes
you're
right
in
on that
Pompano?
beach.
That's
Yeah.
where my restaurant was. It was in Pompano. Yeah,
Oh,
right
where at?
off of Atlantic. We were like basically in between the Turnpike and 95.
Bro, you talking about on Atlantic and
I
31st?
believe so. It's the rooftop building.
Oh, see, I thought so. I'm Atlantic and 31st. I'm right near like Coconut Creek, but I'm trying to think. You said on Atlantic, so you probably talking
No,
closer to the
not closer
beach.
to the beach. Like um I was probably a mile and some change east of Lyons, and yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay, nice, nice.
that's
Yep.
what's up.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
know
yeah,
you, what they
exactly.
call
Yeah, Kaya
it.
City or the Noya. Yep.
Yeah, so Kaya City exactly across the
Wow,
street.
wow, that's crazy,
Yep.
man. I didn't know you were
Yeah,
I didn't
man.
even know you were down here. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. So it's a Pompano, you know, South Florida. It's something I've fallen in love with. But honestly, you know, beyond the weather, you know, being from
Hmm.
DC where it gets cold, beyond the weather, I tell people the best thing that I love about South Florida is the food, man. And you know, you are one of many people that are a prime example of that. It's like great
Wow,
food down
wow. That's saying something. That's what's up.
here. Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, man. So you know, man, before we close out, give you some time to give your drop. You know, tell people where they can find you, website, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, for those who just catching on, it's Chef Jharvis James. You can find me on Instagram at I am Chef Jharvis James, or you can go online at jarvisjames.com. And you can see all the services I provide: personal chef services, one-on-one cooking classes, which is booming right now. People want to learn how to cook. And yeah, man, you can follow me. I follow back. I interact. I engage. I love people. So let's join and let's make this family bigger.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on the show again, bro. We're gonna stay connected, and we're definitely gonna do some business together. I'm thinking maybe April or May. I want to kind of get my mom and some people, you know, to come down and try to have like an experience, man. So
Absolutely,
keep me
man.
in
Thank you
mind.
for having me, and blessings to your show, bro. I love it. Love what you're doing, and definitely look forward to connecting with you. All right,
All
man.
right, appreciate that, brother. All right, peace.